All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Sam Glazer Houston, Director of Alumni Initiatives at the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. And I'm thrilled to bring you a 10 Things in 10 Minutes today with Amanda Rodriguez Jones. We are excited to chat with you, Amanda, and it'd be great if you could just start with a brief introduction of yourself.
Sure. My name's Amanda Jones, as you said. I was in the class of 2014 out of our College of Education and Human Development. And currently, I sit on the board of directors with the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. And in that role, I volunteer on a few committees. So I sit on the Finance and Audit Committee. I'm actually chairing the Inclusion and Belonging Committee this year. And it's been fun for the past 5 years. I think I've been on that board. So, really great way to keep engaged and connected to the university since it's been over 10 years since I graduated.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it? All right, well, let's jump into our questions today. Could you tell us in about one sentence, what do you do?
Sure. So I've been with MLB Network and NHL Network for 10 years now, and I'm currently the supervisor of media relations. So basically, that means that I help handle all of our press related efforts. So if you think about press releases, media requests, really anything that comes from viewership or social media, all of that type of stuff lands in our purview. But mainly, our whole purpose is to help promote the network and anybody that you see on those two channels. So our baseball cable channel and hockey cable channel, we help support all of those on-air personalities.
Wow, that's super cool. It feels like you get just to have a neat experience with learning about all of the different sports communications things that you have access to.
Yeah.
How did you actually get into that field?
Yeah. So I actually studied sport management out of the College of Education and Human Development, but I paired that degree with minors in mass communications and history out of the College of Liberal Arts. So basically, it ended up becoming a baseball PR degree. Everybody kind of chuckled when I told them I was doing sport management, mass comm, and history. But really, at the end of the day, those three things are baseball. We constantly talk about history, and obviously, I use communications day to day. So between that and then numerous baseball internships at the Baseball Hall of Fame, the St. Paul Saints, the Minnesota Twins, and the Cincinnati Reds, along with my degree at the University of Minnesota, all prepared me for where I've landed today.
That's awesome. It's cool to hear about you taking kind of these established programs at the university, but forging your own path and thinking about how you would take information you were learning in different colleges to apply to your current career. That's a really cool story. I love that you shared that with us. What's one thing that you would surprise people about the work that you do?
Actually, a lot of emailing. I spend a lot of time on my email, on my computer, on my phone. So we're reaching out to media and television, radio, print, bloggers. We're reaching out proactively and reactively for interviews. So we spend a lot of time writing those notes and just working through schedules and timelines and kind of what we want the interview to achieve if there's something specific that we have on our air that we're looking to promote. We spend lots of time going back and forth with that producer or writer to make sure that we're in a good spot before even taking it to our on air talent to kind of complete that task. So lots of writing, lots of emailing for sure.
I love that. I hope the current students who see this are listening that those annoying emails they learn to write in their time at the university come in handy later on too.
They do.
What was your very first job and can you share what it taught you?
Yeah, so my first job ever in my life was actually a USSSA umpire for
Oh,
softball.
cool.
So I was a softball player myself, and I was basically trained to umpire lower level games, younger girls within our area of town. And so it basically taught me, I would say, two things: to really have empathy for the umpires that were doing my own games. But it really taught me that I had a voice in the game of softball and now in the game of baseball, and that I really wanted to continue to use that voice and be around the game in a ton of different ways. One additional thing is it's really nice to just be able to subconsciously call an infield pop fly. I feel like just a nice flex to be able to have when you're in the stands now, as opposed to being on the field as an umpire.
I love that. I would probably be a really fun time to go see a baseball game with you, I'm guessing. Oh, funny. All right. Do you do any hiring in your role? And if so, what quality do you look for most when you hire?
So I do. We have summer interns, like a lot of different corporations do, and I think the biggest thing working directly with them is really that ability to learn quickly, but also retention. I'm a big advocate of, in this fast moving field, once you've learned something, to be able to retain it and kind of keep that as just knowledge going forward. It's super important for us to get our day-to-day tasks done, and just kind of helping our bosses not have to make the same corrections day in and day out. I think that's part of growth in our roles. But also it just helps us get through these daily and weekly tasks really accurately and quickly, and we can kind of move on to the more fun, creative, exciting, in the weeds type things once we get through those other tasks. So definitely quick learning, but more importantly, retaining it.
I love that. I feel like there are so many times where we kind of just learn something once to do it, and then it's kind of in the past. But I love what you're saying about each of those is a learning opportunity, and you can carry it forward with us. Maybe you could share on the flip side, what's a mistake that you've made, and how did you grow from it?
Yeah. Actually, in an internship of my own, a partner and I were tasked with an assignment. And at some point during it, someone used a piece of lingo that neither of us understood. Just didn't know what this person meant. And we were too scared, the both of us were too scared to ask what it meant. We couldn't figure it out. Looking it up didn't help us. It was just a shorthand that this person used, and we were so scared of looking stupid or not knowing, that we just didn't really complete the task, and it just got in our way, this one piece of lingo. So obviously growing from that, I think it's super important now, and I really do strive to always ask questions, because if there's something that I'm wondering in a meeting or just working on a project with my boss, somebody else is probably wondering it too. And even if they aren't, at least I now know it. Because the ironic thing about that one piece of lingo, it was literally just half a word. It was something that would have been so simple to understand and move forward and really complete the task. So that's what I strive for now, is just ask the simple questions, and don't let it scare you.
I love that. I feel like you're hitting on something that a lot of young professionals encounter, which is some imposter syndrome when you're intimidated by these new people that are so impressive in doing the work that you hope to do. So it can be hard to ask simple questions sometimes in those settings, but also so important to be courageous and to get clarifying questions answered along the way, so you can complete your tasks and that kind of thing too.
Some places use so many acronyms, so you just have to learn it. It shouldn't be assumed that you're going to know every acronym under the sun just coming into that company or even that industry. So definitely, ask.
Great. I'm glad you could share that with us, because I know the University of Minnesota loves our acronyms. So it sounds like we're not the only ones, that acronyms and understanding them are an important part of the work world. Speaking of that, what is the best career advice that you've ever received?
I think it's so simple. Stay connected. Um, so the sports industry is small, and it gets even smaller the longer that you stay in it. So I've been full time for 10 years, but I've been in baseball for 13 years. Um, and everybody knows everybody. So it's so important to keep in contact with former managers, bosses, people that really made an impact on you. letting them know, about new roles, asking questions about things that you see at these former companies you might have worked with. If you see something interesting they do, reach out to them and ask, can you let me know some insight as to how you guys decided to launch that campaign, or whatever the question might be. If you still have that type of connection with them, they're probably more than willing to answer it after the fact. And even if you feel like you're in a comfortable space with them to share life changes. I know I recently got married, hence the Rodriguez in parentheses, and letting old bosses know that I had gotten engaged or got married was just a really fun moment to be able to reconnect with them and let them know about something that was happening in my life just outside of professional. Um, I think it comes back when you might want to lean on them, having that constant connection, whether it's a recommendation or if you're looking for a different position. But the really fun thing is when you realize in your career it kind of shifts and they ask you for help or they ask you for a placement for somebody. And they're kind of leaning on you instead. It's a really fun moment to realize that keeping that connection has now become mutually beneficial for the both of you, and just really proves the point that doing so was really worth it.
I love hearing you talk about the reality of building connections and networking and the value add that that continues to be. Like once you have a connection, it keeps going. It's not a one and done. So it's interesting to hear you talk about that in your field. I know we talk about that all the time at the Alumni Association, that that is the work we love doing, is connecting people with each other and with the university. And so it's amazing to hear how that's benefited you in that skill set over time as well. Okay, for a couple of more fun questions related to campus, could you share when you were a student, what was your favorite spot on campus?
So I realize that it might be a lot of people's answer. So I have a very specific spot. Kauffman Memorial Union, but specifically the first floor in the back where all the couches are right near the windows. It's a great place to study, to hang out. There was even a year that I had this perfect break in classes where I would take naps there. And there were always music majors or people that just had the skill set that would play piano nearby. So it was always a fun place that had this constant buzz, great music. It was a wonderful place for me to be able to study or research projects. And honestly, I love a shopping trip. So being right upstairs from the bookstore or even being able to grab coffee in the basement of Kauffman, definite bonuses there of hanging out in the Memorial Union.
Totally. Love hearing about that. It's a wonderful building at the heart of campus and all of our student activity. So that makes total sense that you've spent a lot of time there when you were a student too. All right. So with that in mind, does that impact your answer to this question? East Bank, West Bank, or St. Paul? What's your pick?
Hard because I lived on two of those three. But I think it is East Bank. Not only Kauffman, but since I was in the sport management department, we were housed there. I lived in Pioneer Hall. Shout out to Northside, my freshman year. But I would say more specifically Mariucci Arena. I worked at the Gopher Ticket office through athletics while I was in school, and then I even served as the manager of the hockey cheer team. So I spent many early mornings, many late nights, many cold weekends in Mariucci. So just spending so much time on the East Bank has to be my answer.
I love that. And I love that you went and talked about our amazing sports venues like Mariucci. We're so lucky to have some really unique ones here on our campus that we get to enjoy all the time. All right, lightning round. One last thing that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I think it goes without saying, stay involved with the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. I think the big thing is just doing it any way that works for you. It can be big, it can be small, but just staying connected to your time on campus just always seems to come back up. I know I moved away from Minnesota, and moving to the East Coast and having that commonality with people and being able to talk about what dorm we lived in. Did we live on West Bank? What's our favorite spot on campus? Just having that commonality makes meeting people getting friends, networking that much easier. So I would just encourage people to attend events, join an alumni network, even if it's just attending Sky Mania when you're on campus for football, or shopping at the Minnesota Alumni Market. Again, it can be big, it can be small. You can donate in honor of somebody, you can become a member. I'm a lifetime member, and admittedly love the fact that I just get the benefits and there's no renewal. um, there's definitely some great lifetime member swag that I've purchased from the Minnesota Alumni Market, that I wear to these events in New York City, and people see and they'll shout Sky UMAA at me when I'm walking down the street. So having that connection, in any way that you can, is just such a big thing that I've experienced that I would love to recommend to people.
I love that. I love that you're being seen out in the world of the East Coast without all the Minnesotans here. You're still getting attention for your M's and your logos. So that's really cool to hear. We do have a little bit of time left, so I did want to ask you a bonus question, if that's okay with you. We'll just do one of these, but how do you show your maroon, gold, and bold pride?
Ooh, so the bold part is so new under President Cunningham, and I do love it. But admittedly, I totally see where she's coming from, that we're Minnesota nice and we love to not brag. And this is so a moment to brag. I think for me specifically, and especially where I've landed in my career, I think my maroon, gold, and bold moment is for our sport management degree and major. We're in such a unique place of not only having 22 sports right there on campus, but having our football and our hockey program being able to fund itself is something that not many, if any, colleges are able to do. So just the experiences that students can have while on campus when it comes to sports, but then having every major sport, women's soccer, women's hockey. It doesn't stop. There was lacrosse when I was in school. So many professional leagues that are right there in Minneapolis, or even St. Paul, that students can work with and do internships with, just like I did a year with the Minnesota Twins, and I lived on campus while doing that. I think that's such a huge benefit when you go out into the world and you're so prepared, coming out of school with different experiences that you got in your own backyard, that it just really sets you up for such success if you take advantage of them. And I think the University of Minnesota's really done a great job of having connections and the ability to help students get into those roles and then go out into the world and flourish. So that's my maroon, gold, and bold, is that experience and seeing it continue to this day, 10 years after I even graduated.
I love that. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I totally can see how it is bold that, as a smaller city, we have all these major sports teams and we're actually able to connect students with them. And hearing that you had that experience and are paying that forward is amazing and just awesome to hear about. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our time together. So thank you so much, Amanda, for your time today. I'm excited to share this with our alumni and we really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you.